Welcome to Mindset Learn Extra Live. I'm Katleho and we're here with Peter, grade 12s. Hi Peter, how are you?
I'm well, Kat. Absolutely well, especially because we're doing some maths lit.
We're doing some maths literacy. We're doing some data handling. So tell us more about this data handling.
Before I tell you that, what is this?
Finger going across air.
No, I don't know either, but here comes his buddies. That's just stupid. Eh? At this point, I want to say, guys, I've run out of jokes. It's quite sad.
Yeah,
please send us some, and we might call them out on air.
Yeah, guys, help Peter out with those jokes, hey? And also help us out with some questions and some comments, because we'd love to hear from you, grade 12s. I know Peter loves hearing some questions and something to challenge him a bit. I think he's getting too comfortable here in the Mindset Studio. So remember our Facebook page, facebook.com/LearnExtra, and our Twitter handle @LearnExtra. Peter, over to you.
All right, you're talking about challenging, and we thought we'd start today off with a challenge question for you. Let's read it. The mean percentage in a test written by 20 students was 64%. A new girl joined the class and wrote the same test, scoring 85%. Calculate the new percentage for the whole class of 21 students. Okay, let me explain that to you, right, just so that you understand this whole challenge question. So a class writes a test. How many are there? There are 20 kids in the class. 20 guys in the class, or girls, 20 students. They write a test and they get an average, and the average for the class is 64%. Suddenly, in walks another girl, okay? And she says, how's it? I'm new to the school and I want to write the test, okay? Why someone new to a school would want to write a test, I don't know. But anyway, she sits down, writes a test, and gets 85% for that test. Who needs a teacher, hey?
Yeah, I think I'm that girl.
85%, brand new kid to the school, no teaching, phenomenal. Here's the question. What's the class's new average? Was 64%, was it? Yeah. What's it now going to be after someone else joins the class and gets 85%? All right. Now, don't sit there doing it while I'm talking, because then you're going to miss out on some great stuff. But later on, when we have an ad break in approximately 15 minutes and 31 seconds, then you can sit and quickly do it. And you'll have a good 2-minute break to do it. And when we come back at some stage during the program, we'll go through that challenge question. Got it? Cool. Let's get started with today's work. So that's a challenge question. We're going to get rid of it, and let's go. So we're busy looking at different stat questions, and this is the third week we're looking at it in grade 12. So it's quite a big section. In fact, the section counts 25% of your final matric paper. All right, so you've got to make sure that you understand everything about stats. And so I thought what we'd do today is I'm just going to go through a few questions that have come up in the past and look at them, and we're going to try and answer all those. That's the best way to learn, isn't it? Just to take past papers and go through them. Having said that, what I need to say to all you matrics is this, that the best way to prepare for an exam is to take your old past papers. So you guys are quite fortunate, because you've got the 2008 matric paper, the 2009, 2010, and the 2011 paper to go through. Okay, so you got 4 different past papers. Okay, that's actually 8 exams, because there's a paper 1 and a paper 2 for all 4 of those years. And guys, if I was you, I would take those past papers and I would do them. Okay, I would then mark them, either with a fellow student or with a teacher. I'm sure you can actually get these model answers as well, all right? But get a hold of the model answers, go through, mark your work. Do all 4 years, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011. When you finish doing them, start again. 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011. And when you finish doing them, start again. Okay, because if you look at all the past papers, there's a trend that comes through. And you're going to see, sure, you know what, in 2008, they asked me to calculate the mean of something. Yeah, In 2009, they asked me also to calculate the mean average of something. In 2010, they also asked me to calculate the mean average of something. In 2011, they also asked me to calculate the mean average of something. And you know what? Chances are in 2012, they could also ask me to calculate the mean average of something. Why? Because it's part of the syllabus. We've got to, as examiners, the examiners have got to test that syllabus. They can't put anything new into the syllabus. Okay? That's your syllabus. That's what's got to be tested. And the best way to get ideas or to learn for your exam is to do those past papers. Do that for yourself. I always tell my matrics, when we come back the last 3 weeks before they leave for their exams, all they do is past paper after past paper after past paper. And I always love it because a guy will come to me and say, "Check, sir, I've finished it, eh?" And I say, "Well done, here's another one." Okay? And he goes off like all despondent, comes back, "Check, sir, I finished this one as well." And I say, "Great, here's another one." And he goes back all despondent, now he's got to do another one. Okay? But by doing that over and over again, at the end of the year, he says, "Hey, sir, look at my mark, eh? 85%. 85%. Why? Because I did past paper after past paper after past paper. And I'm getting sidetracked. So let's get on with today's lesson. Below is a graph which indicates the average rainfall for 2 cities in South Africa. All the figures indicated have been rounded to the nearest 10 millimeters. Now, guys, I want to bring this to your attention. Okay? All figures are rounded to the nearest 10. In other words, if you see something that's got 10 millimeters of rain, doesn't mean they had exactly 10. It could mean that. But it could mean as well, maybe they had 9 millimeters. Maybe they had 8. Okay? Maybe they had 11. Maybe they had 12. Maybe 13. Maybe 14. Right? Because it's been rounded to the nearest 10. So it lies within a bracket. But to make life easy, we've just rounded to 10 decimal places. Okay. So that's what our graph looks like. Now, before reading any questions, I say this every time we go through this, let's look at the data. Let's look at the graph that's given to us, and let's just analyze it. Let's feel comfortable with it, see what it's talking about, see if we can pick up anything, any trends or any interesting information before we even look at the question. Because normally just by getting an idea on what that graph is showing, we tend to then be able to answer questions a lot easier. So let's look at that. So I've got 2 cities. You can see the brown city we've called City 1, and there it is. It's January, they had 20 millimeters of rain, rounded off to the nearest 10, remember? February 20, March, what's that, 30, April 50, May 70, June 100, July 110. Now, if you look at this, let's just look at this one. Why? Because I want to. If we look at that, you could look at that and you could say, well, if I draw a line across there, maybe that's 108 or 112 or no. It can't be, hey? Can't be. Why not? Because it's rounded to the nearest 10. So it could only be 110. It can't be anything else, because it's been rounded to the nearest 10. Do you understand that? So it can't be 114. It can't be 118, because that's not to the nearest 10. All right? So that has to be 110. Cool. Now, you can see, or what I can see anyway, I'm sure you can, with City 1, can you see what the rainfall's doing? It's like going up and then it's starting to come down a bit. Okay? If we look at City 2, and I'm going to choose a different color for this, it starts with a high rainfall, and then it goes all the way, oopsie, it doesn't even do that, hey? It goes, and here in July, it looks like there's no rain, and then it goes all the way up and a little bit down, okay? So if you look at this, the one city, there's a lot of rain over May, June, July, and the other city, there's very little rain over May, June, and July, and even in August. All right. Got an idea of the map? See what it's all about? Now, let's look at the question and see if we're able to answer. So our first question says this. Do you think that these 2 cities are close to each other? Give a reason for your answer. Okay. Look at that green line and look at the yellow line on our map. And you ask yourself, are those cities close to each other? Well, I don't know if they are, hey? Because we have a lot of rain in January in city number 2. City 1, there's very little. And so they've got an opposite pattern. Look at the yellow. It comes all the way down and goes up. The green starts low, goes all the way up, and then comes down. So it's down and up. Here it's up and down. Got it? You got to say it like that, then it's more effective. Okay? Up and down. Down and up. All right. The words somehow go with the picture. Have you noticed that?
I agree.
Okay. So, having a look at that now, we can say there's 2 totally different rain patterns. Okay? Someone has little rain, another city has a lot. Then the city has little, and this city has a lot. Then that has a little, and that has a lot. Totally different rainfalls. So, do you think those cities are close to each other? Well, I don't think they are, because their rain patterns are entirely different. If you've got cities pretty close to each other, generally, the rain pattern is kind of similar, okay? But if they're far apart, so for example, in Joburg, when do we get our rain? When do we get our rain in Joburg, okay? Roundabout? Yeah, around about December, January, February, those hot months, eh? When we have those wonderful storms here in the Highveld and Johannesburg area. Okay, and you have thunder, and you have lightning, and you have booms and bangs. Oh no, that's just my mother-in-law driving. Sorry, you have lightning, and you have thunder, and all kinds of crashes and bashes and things, okay? Whereas in the Cape, all right, in the hot months, they hardly have any rain. In winter here, we just freeze our butts off, but we hardly have rain. Whereas in the Cape, they freeze their butts off, and it's always raining, always raining. I lived in the Cape, so I know this, okay? Pouring with rain, and it's cold, and you're walking down these streets, and you're shivering, and you're absolutely... Joburg, Cape Town, 2 totally different rainfall patterns. Is Joburg close to Cape Town? Not at all, okay? Here's an interesting one. Somebody in last year's paper, because this comes from last year's paper, said this. They said the cities are close to each other, but there's a mountain range between the 2 towns or the 2 cities. Okay. Now that's an interesting one, hey? And as one of the guys who marked the papers at the end of last year, we had to give full marks because that kind of made sense. And if you go back and you look at the Cape and you look at a little town called Franschhoek, wonderful little town. I used to live close by. Lovely people. So if anyone out there from Franschhoek has it, it's great to have you watching us, okay? Lovely little town. And then they had this phenomenal mountain range. And on the other side of the mountain range, there was another little town. And I'm embarrassed to mention what it is, but we'll just call it another town. The truth is, I've forgotten the name, okay? But it's just over the ridge. And it could be pouring with rain in the Franschhoek Valley. You go over the mountain ridge, and it's a beautiful day, okay? Phenomenal weather. All right? So this person that wrote this in their exam said, you know what, those cities could be close to each other, but they're separated by a mountain range which is causing different weather patterns. You know what, that's a fantastic, fantastic answer. And so we had to give full marks for that. So it wasn't so much the answer, but the reason that we were looking at here. Okay, so are they close together? Well, no, they're not. Why? Totally different rain patterns. Fantastic. Are they close to each other? Well, they could be, but there could be a huge mountain range between us causing different weather patterns on each side of the mountain. Fantastic answer. Nothing wrong with it. Full marks. Sure, I'm talking quickly. Let's move on. The next question. Okay, says this. Calculate the range of rainfall for City 2 over the 12-month period. Okay, so the range, and you know how to calculate range, eh? Of course you do. You're in grade 12 now. You started learning about that when you were in grade 10. So we know that the range is going to equal the highest minus the lowest rainfall. And we're looking at City 2. So because we're looking at City 2, it's the black graphs that we're busy looking at. Now, guys, it's amazing how many people in a matric exam, I don't know whether we just panic or we like, oh my goodness, this is my final paper, let me just do it, and I make a silly mistake. right? Just relax. But city 2 is, we're looking at the black graphs. Do you know how many people looked at the wrong graph? So sad. You mustn't do that. Okay, so what's the highest I have? Well, I would say it's 120. There it is there, and it's repeated over here as well. So my highest is 120 mils. Okay, minus the lowest. What is the lowest that's shown on this table? So many people said, you know what? Here it is here. It's 10 millimeters. Look at it. There it is. And it's repeated there. So the lowest has got to be 10. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Absolutely, Kat. And you're absolutely wrong. All right? Because so many kids did this in the final matric paper as well. Look here. What rainfall do I have in July?
None.
None at all. Okay? It's not reflected. There's nothing there. So what's my lowest? My lowest is 0. Guys, 0 is a figure. Okay? It's a reality. It does happen. It's true. Look at my bank balance. It is 0. Guys, I can't pretend it's not there. It is there. Okay? If I did pretend it wasn't there, I would go into a bank teller, take my card, push in my magic 5 digits, voila, money would just pour out. But it doesn't. Instead, a little piece of paper comes out, okay, telling me I don't have any money in there. All right, and I want to change my bank. I tell you what, I won't tell you what bank I bank for, but every time I put my card in, it kicks out a piece of paper that says insufficient funds. What kind of bank doesn't have enough money? Okay?
And it's their fault, not your fault.
Entirely their fault. All right, so 0 is a figure, guys. If you get any question like this in 2012, please remember 0 is a number. This was last year's paper. So many matrics just disregarded 0. And they said the lowest amount of rainfall is 10 millimeters. In 2010, in the IEB paper, there was a similar question with something else, and they had to calculate a mean average. And there was a figure of 0, and people just ignored the 0, pretended it wasn't there. Okay, I like to do that. I like to do that with my bank account. Pretend that 0's not there, and let's just go out and spend. Okay, and then things get embarrassing. All right, now, so what's the range? So the range is the highest minus the lowest. The lowest is 0, so 120 minus 0 is 120 mils. Why was this in a paper 2 when it's so straightforward? I mean, finding range is easy. Well, it was in a paper 2 for the following reasons. Number 1, you had to be able to look at the correct graph. You had to be able to read figures off a graph, okay? Then you had to understand that 0 was actually a real figure. In a paper 1, I could give you some figures. So I might give you a figure of, let's go down here. I might give you a 20, a 5, a 30, and let's say a 35, and say, calculate the range. And then it's easy. We just say the range is the highest minus the lowest. The highest is this guy over here. No, it's not. I lie. It's this guy over here, 35. My lowest is 5, so my range is 30. Okay, that's a paper 1, where it's so straightforward, so simple, you're just getting the figures as you see them. Here, though, you had to actually look at a graph, interpret it, and you had to understand that there was a 0. Can you see why it was in a paper 2? So finding the range, oh, so easy. Sure, so many people got this wrong in the matric paper last year. Let's go on. So our next question, still looking at our average rainfall, says, calculate the mean rainfall for City 1 over the winter months. In other words, June, July, and August. Round off your answer to 2 decimal places. Here's a little clue, a little hint, a little warning. If your examiner tells you round the answer to 2 decimal places, you know that your answer is going to be comma, something, 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 something. Okay? That's why they're saying, hey, just round it to 2 decimal places. So if you get an exact right answer with no decimals, just check your answer, hey? Because then there would have been no reason for the examiner to tell you to round your answer to 2 decimal places. Can you see how examiners help you along with the paper? Without telling you things, just by reading the questions, you can pick up little hints that they're giving you. All right, so let's look at it. We're looking at city number 1, which is the city shown in brown, and we're going to try and find the average for June, and June is 100, July 110, and August is 80. Do you agree with that? Okay, that's August, that's July, and this is June. Okay, so we're going to find the mean for it. So let's go for it quickly. So we're going to say, okay, the mean. We're going to add them up. We've got 100 plus 110 plus, and it was 80, was it? Yeah, 80. And we're going to divide that by 3. So when we add it up now, we look for a calculator, and we're going to say, cool. On our calculator, we've got 100 plus 110 plus 80, okay, equals 290. Oops. 290, let's go back to green, 290 divided by 3. So now, divided by 3. And what are we expecting, Kat? We're expecting an answer of comma, something, 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 something. Why are we expecting that? Because the examiner said round to 2 decimal places. And he would never have told you that unless he knew the answer was going to do something funny. So let's watch our calculator on the screen again quickly. Answer divided by 3 equals, and voila, there it is. 96,666666666. The examiner knew that was going to happen. So what did he say? 2 decimal places, please. So what is it? 90. It's gone away again. 90. Oh yeah, that's something I got to tell you, Kat. You're new to the show. I can never remember the numbers, so you've got to remember them.
I'll try to remember them for you.
Cool. So let's go. So it's going to be 96. 66666, but we're rounding to 2 decimal places. 96,67 what? Millimeters. Okay? Because we're dealing with rainfall. Okay. Now, why is the examiner asking me in a paper 2 to calculate the mean? Well, again, it's not a straightforward thing of giving you the figures. You had to find the figures, and you had to read the correct graph, okay? And you had to find the correct figures under the correct months as well. So it wasn't so straightforward. There was actually a bit of work involved with that. Right, our next question. Back to the same graph, and here's the question. Determine the mode of the rainfall for city 1. Now, what's mode mean? I say this every time we do this. Mode means most, okay? Watch the lips. Mode, most. Did you see my lips do that? This is why my wife won't kiss me. It scares the hell out of her. Okay?
So weird.
Mode. Okay, right. So what's the mode for city 1? Let's have a look at it. In other words, what comes up the most? Here I have a 20. Here I have a 20, and here I have a 20. I think we've got the answer without even going any further. I've got a 10, I've got a 30, I've got, you know what, 10 it is. So the mode for city 1 is 10 millimeters. That's the one that came up the most. Happy?
Happy.
Right. Let's go on and have a look here. You know, when the screen does this,
do you maybe want to
what
take
it's
a
actually
break,
saying is, I'm hot, I'm tired, I need a break.
Yeah, I think it's saying, like, put some petrol and some water in it so that it goes sparks around, yeah?
Okay, that's it.
Let's take a break, guys. See you after the break. Welcome back, Mindsetters. I hope you guys are ready for an awesome part of the show. I see all your answers are flying in, and some of you are on the ball, some of you are not. So we will go through it, but in the meantime, remember that you can still send in your answers and maybe even how you got it, so we know that you are on the right track. Hey, Peter.
That's right. Those are the answers to that challenge question.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. Any jokes come through or nothing?
No jokes yet.
No
guys,
jokes,
come on, make us laugh.
No, come on, absolutely. Because if I start selling jokes again, it's really going to be...
We're going to all fall asleep.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right. Okay, so before the break, we were looking at this wonderful graph. It showed the average rainfall in 2 different towns or cities, and we realized that the cities were probably far apart because they had totally different rainfalls. Okay. Now, before the break, we had to calculate the average mean rainfall for the one city over the winter periods. Okay. Then we were also asked to calculate the mode, and we said mode sounds like most and was all in the lips. All right. We realized then as well, or a lot of you had compassion for my wife at that moment. And now what we're going to do is we're going to look at this and say, determine the median rainfall for city number 2. What do I mean by median? Again, Kat, it's all in the lips. Median, middle. Okay. Mode, most. Okay. Mode, most. Median, middle. Can you see that?
Yeah,
all
I see
right.
it.
So we're trying to find the middlemost figure amongst a whole lot of figures. So let's do that. We're looking at city number 2. It says there, look at city 2, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to look at all these figures in the black columns here. All right, so let's do that. I'm going this side. I think I'm going this side. Yeah, I am. So firstly, what do I have? My first figure is 120. Okay. My next figure is 100. Then I have 80. I then have a 50. I have a 20. I have a 10. I have a 0. I have a 10. I have a 20. A 40. I have an 80. I have 120. And finally, I have 110. Now, folk, with these figures, we've got to find the figure that's the one in the middle. Now, what I've done on the board, all I did to help myself, I just wrote the figures down so I could read it off the graph and give myself more space. Sadly, what happened last year's exam and the year before and 2009 and 2010, when people were asked to calculate the median of a group of figures, all they did was write out the figures and then find the middle one. But you can't just do that. You've got to put them in order, hey? From the smallest to the biggest number, okay? You can also do it the other way, from the biggest to the smallest. You're still going to get the middle one. But, I tend to think it's a lot easier going from the smallest number to the biggest number. Why? Because when you start a count as a baby, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't count 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. It's just barbaric. And so your mind is tuned to counting from a low number up. So let's stick to that. So I'm going to look at these figures and arrange them in order from the lowest to the biggest. And I'm going to ask Kat to help me out here as well, because I might miss a few. Okay. So the lowest figure is 0. Oi, do you see how 0 comes up again? Okay. You can't just pretend it's not there. It's there. Now, so we've used 0. Okay, my next one is 10, and I've got 2 of them. 10 and 10. There they are there. I've then got a 20, right? A 40. There it is. I've got a 50. Yeah. I've got 2 80s. There and there. Okay, 80 and 80. I've got 100. I've got 110. And I got 120, and finally another 120.
That's it.
Kat, how many figures should I have?
You should have, I didn't even count them.
Right, you don't have to count. How many figures should you have, Kat? How many months in a year, Kat?
12.
12, exactly. Sure. It's hard to get good help in this place, eh? All right, so we're expecting 12 figures because they're 12 months. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Shame on you if you were going to ignore the 0. Because then you were going to say, do you know what? The month of July doesn't exist. We'll just pretend it's not there. So we'll go January, February, March, April, May, June, August, September. You can't do that. It's a absolute disgrace. Feel sorry for the people who were born in July if you just skip it out.
Birthday.
Absolutely. Sure. Okay? It's like I got a friend that was born on the 29th of February. Same. And that's horrific because it's 28th of February and then the 1st of March.
Yeah.
So he only has a birthday once every 4 years. Okay? I wish my son was born on the 29th of February. It would save me so much money. Okay. Now, we're going to try and figure out the most middle number. Now, we've got 12 sets of data, so I know I've got an even amount of figures. If I have even number of figures, I'm going to have 2 in the middle. If I have an odd number, I'm only going to have 1 in the middle. Okay, so let's look at that. Taking out a different color, let's go yellow, all right? We're going to cross out one that side, one this side, one that side, one this side, one that side, one this side. It's like a waltz, eh?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that side and this side. Okay, there we go. So we've got 2 in the middle. We've got a 50 and we've got 80. Now, what are we going to do with that 50 and 80? We can't say the middle figure is 50 and 80. We've got to find the middle of those two figures. In other words, we're finding the mean average of those two figures. So we're going to say, okay, so we've got 50 plus 80 divided by 2. Now, 50 and 80 is 130. Divided by 2 is going to give me 65. Okay, so my mean average is 65, or my median, rather, is going to be 65. There it is over there. While I was doing that, I just want to, because we're learning, hey? This is all about learning. I want to show you something that some people do on a calculator, and it gives them the wrong answer. Let's have a look at this. 50 plus 80 divided by 2. Now, we know 50 and 80 is 130, and 130 divided by 2 is going to give me 65. Let's see if our calculator agrees. We're going to say 50 plus 80 divided by 2 equals, my calculator gives me 90. So what do? Do I take my calculator and throw it out the window? Or do I take my student and throw him out the window? Okay? Something is wrong. Either the calculator or the student that pushed the figures into the calculator. Let's look what happens. When you look at this on your calculator, what your calculator does, it's quite a clever guy. When you were tiny, tiny, in grade 1 and grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, you were always taught something called BOD maths.
Yeah.
Okay? And BOD maths always said do division first. So you got 50 plus 80 divided by 2. The calculator says, hey, I know BOD maths. And 80 divided, we always do the divide first. 80 divided by 2 is 40. 40 plus 50 is 90. So why do we get 65? Because you have to find the total first. So what I should have done with my calculator is said 50 plus 80 equals 130. Divide that by 2 equals 65. Mistakes, silly mistakes that matrics make in examinations. Okay, guys, you mustn't do that. Right? Practice using your calculator. I get very, very angry with my students. Believe it or not, I can get angry. Okay? But I really get annoyed when I'm working in class and I say, all right, guys, get your calculators, let's do this. And only one boy's got his calculator and he's going and all the rest are waiting like, I hope he hurries up and gives the answer. I get so annoyed. Because you should be using your calculator every day in your maths class. You should be practicing so that when you come up and get an answer of 90 instead of 65, you can say, hold on, what have I done wrong? See what I've done wrong. But if you don't practice in class, when it comes to an exam, you're just going to say, oh, the answer's 90. Cool, let's write it down. And the person marking your paper says, oh, cool, let's just give a cross. Okay? Practice, practice, practice. All right, now I know I got sidetracked, but you know what, guys? That is crucial information, vital stuff. Let's move on. Next question. Now, in my next question here, I've got, again, below's a graph which indicates the average rainfall for 2 cities in South Africa. Okay, it's the same question, but here's the question. City 1 has an average rainfall of 20 millimeters for the month of February. Considering that the figure of 20 millimeters has been rounded to the nearest 10, state the range of rainfall the 20 millimeters could include. That's a nice paper 2 question. So we said we're rounding our figures up to the nearest 10. So if I've got 20 millimeters, here it is. If I've got 20 millimeters, could I have got 19? Well, yes, I could have. Because if I took 19 and rounded it to the nearest 10, I would have got 20. Could I have got 18? Yes, because 18 rounded to the nearest 10 is going to give me 20. Because remember, it's going to be between 10 and 20. Okay? 17 is closer to 20. 16 is closer to 20. 15, 15 closer to 20. 14, no, 14's closer to the 10. So my figures could be from 15 millimeters all the way through to what? Well, let's have a look. If I got 21 mils and I rounded to the nearest 10, it's going to be 20. Okay? We know that it's going to be between 20 and 30. So 21 is closer to 20. 22 is closer to 20. 23 is closer to 20. 24 is closer to 20. 25, when I round 25, because of this 5, oopsie, there we go. Because of this 5, I've lost the pen, found the pen. Because of that 5, I've now got rounds closer to 30. So the highest figure possible is 24 millimeters. So 20 mils rounded means if I tell you round it off, this city has 20 millimeters of rain, it means it could have had anything from 15 millimeters up to 24 millimeters. Sure, that was quite something to understand, that was. Okay? So it could be anything from 15 to 24. Tough question, eh? But a lovely one. And if you understand it, that's fantastic. All right. Next question. In fact, while we're at it, I wonder if it comes up later. We'll see. Remind me about 0. Okay. Right, let's go on. If we look here, one of the cities, in fact, here it is. Here's the very question. One of the cities reflects a rainfall of 0 millimeters. There it is. Hey? Which city reflects this rainfall of 0 millimeters, and during which month is it reflected? Well, it's going to be city 2, okay, that's it, and it's during July month. All right, now let's look at the next question. Does this necessarily mean that the city gets no rainfall in this month? Explain your answer. Do you remember when we had 20, and we said 20 could be anything from from 15 all the way up to 24 mils. So if I say, hey, round it off to the nearest 10, so anything from 0 to 10, we're rounding it to 0. If I got 1 millimeter and I rounded it to the nearest 10, it would be 0. If I got 2 millimeters, it would be closer to 0. 3 millimeters, closer to 0. 4 millimeters, closer to 0. 5 millimeters, that's closer to 10. Okay? But if I'm showing a 0 millimeters and I tell you to round it to the nearest 10, it means I could have got 0. Absolutely, I could have. But I could have also got 1, 2, 3, or 4 millimeters. Anything from 0 to 4. So just because it says you got 0 doesn't mean it actually got 0. It could have got 1, 2, 3, or 4 because our graph was rounded to the nearest 10. Do you understand that? Kind of sounds barbaric, doesn't it? Here I'm telling you there's no rainfall, but actually there could have been. But the only reason we're saying there's no rainfall because we rounded that figure off. We said, you know what, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so tiny, round it to the nearest 10, it's like there's no rainfall. But there is rainfall, but we're just going to round it and pretend there's none. Okay? But it does mean there could have been rainfall. Got that? Okay. Difficult one to understand, hey? But still, loads of fun, nice questions coming up in the exam papers. Okay, this question was also in an exam paper. In fact, I think it comes from a grade 11 exam paper. But grade 11, grade 12, very similar. It was a paper 2, so let's have a look at it. The table below contains prices of houses that were sold in 2 areas during the first 6 months of the year. The house prices have been arranged in ascending order. What do I mean by ascending? Ascending sounds like up. Okay, is this camera on me? Woohoo, back here please. Okay, cool. Watch carefully. Ascending up. Can you see that? It's all in the body, hey?
I see it.
Ascending up. descending down. Okay. Oh, I talk rubbish, don't I? But it's a
Yeah.
good way to remember it.
But it's
Okay.
okay.
So ascending, we're starting at the lowest and we're going all the way to the highest. So we've got houses in two different areas, in Dawnview and in Sicily. I don't think it's the Sicily out in Italy, all right? I think we're talking about, if I remember correctly, if I know my geography, Dawnview and Sicily are two suburbs in Pietermaritzburg.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think I could be, if someone lives in Maritzburg and you're watching the show, just confirm that,
Yeah.
but I'm almost certain, hey? Okay, so Dawnview, Sicily, in two suburbs, I think in Pietermaritzburg, and we're pricing some houses, okay? And we are actually pricing how many houses? 15 houses, okay? And with these houses in Dawnview, the cheapest one is 150,000, okay? And it goes all the way through to 580,000. In the other Sicily, we start at 300,000. Sure, not much cheap houses there, but they go all the way through to 680. So Dawnview also has expensive houses, but they've got a lot of cheap houses. Where in the other area, we're starting rather on the expensive side and working all the way through to some more expensive houses. Now, I say expensive, but you know, in reality, I mean, some houses cost way over R1 million, 2 million, 3
20
million.
million actually now.
You know what? I saw that, hey? I got an advert the other day where someone said, hey, Pete, you can buy this house. It's only 25 million. And I was thinking, my giddy aunt, for a house costing you 25 million rand, I think your repayments are something like 250,000 a month. How do you pay back so much money every month? Okay, maybe I should change my job or do something. Maybe. I don't know. But in comparison with these two, you can see there's a big difference between 150 and 300,000. Okay, and if I remember correctly, this question does come back about 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, but still. Cheap house prices. Okay, so we've looked at the information, we've analyzed it a bit, and now we're going to read the question. Find the mean, the median, and the modal house price for Dawnview. Okay, so mean means we're going to add up all the prices and divide by the number of houses, because that's what mean is. Median means we're going to arrange those houses in order from the lowest to the highest and find the middle one. And mode means? Most. Oh, that's right. Okay. Oh, the camera should have got to do that. Let's do it again. Let's switch cameras.
Okay, camera.
Mode means?
Most.
Okay. And median means?
Middle.
All right. Excellent. Okay. It's all in the lips, guys. It's all in the lips. Now, let's find the mean, the median, the mode. I'm going to start off and I'm going to find, first of all, the median, and then I'm going to find the mode, just because we're running out of time. Mean is easy to do, because mean, all we're going to do is we're going to add up all those prices. We're going to add them, and then divide by the number of houses that we actually
Peter,
have.
do you want to go to a little bit of an ad break just before you start this question? Just a little
No,
one.
don't. But we will. But we will.
Because it's my show.
Okay, let's do that.
Guys, we'll see you after a very, very fast ad break. Make sure you are back on your seats. See you after the break. Welcome back, guys. I hope you guys are ready for the most exciting part of the show, I think. I know your challenge question answers are streaming in, so make sure that you keep them coming in and make sure that they're right, so that, you know, we can read your names out and you guys can be the shining stars of our show. And yeah, guys, get ready for Peter again.
Absolutely. They want to be shining stars, not disasters.
Not disasters.
Not like our producer. All right. Now, before the show, before the ad break, not before the show. Before the ad break, we were looking at prices of houses in Dawnview and in Sicily. Okay? And we were told to, first of all, calculate the mean of those houses. So what we did was we added up the cost of all the houses, and I got a whacking total, because I did it during break, of 5,897,000. We're going to divide it by 15, and I haven't done that part there. There's the 5,897,000. That's the cost of all of those 15 houses. We divide it by 15 will give me my mean average, and my mean average there it is going to be 393,133. So let's write that down. Let's find a pen. There we go. 393,000.
And 133, I think.
And 133, she thinks. Let's just double check. And 133, she's right. Okay, well done, Kat. 133,33. So that's the average prices of houses in Dawnview. The next thing says find the median. So we're going to find the median. Now, during the ad break, just to speed things up, what I did was, the nice thing about this question, if you look at it, they're already given an order, from the lowest through to the highest. So what we're going to do is, instead of having our figures written out this way, they're now written out this way for us. And the examiner's phenomenal. He's actually given it to us in order. So all we're going to do, remember how we find median? We cross one off that side, one this side, one that side, one this side, one that side, one this side. Now what we're doing is we're doing one up, one down, one up, one down, one up, one down. Okay, now I'm a conductor, not a dancer. All right, one up, one down, one up, one down. Okay, so when we do all this, so here we go. I've crossed some out. Let's keep going. One up, one down. One up, one down. One up, one down. That is my median. And I knew it was going to only be one in the middle, because I had an odd number of figures. There were 15 houses. That's odd number, so I'm only going to have one in the middle. If I had 16 houses, I'd have two prices, and I'd have to find the median average of those two. Okay, so it's only one, and our median now is 520,000. So my median, 520,000 rand. Okay, now the next question says this. What is the mode? In other words, which price comes up the most? Now again, this is so nicely done. Because it's an order, I just need to look and see if I've got more of one. So I've got different. Let's keep going. Different. I've got two the same here, different. So I've only got one set of two the same. In other words, mode, the one that occurs the most, is going to be 570,000 rand. Okay. Now, there's a lot more we can do to this question. We might come back to it if we've got time. But I know our viewers are very keen for us to go through the challenge question. So let's do that. And how much time do we have there? Do you know, Kat?
Maybe about 7 minutes, maybe? 7
okay,
minutes.
Great. 7 minutes. Fantastic. Okay, let's look at our challenge question. Here it is. So the mean percentage of a test written by 20 students was 64%. A new girl joined the class and wrote the same test, scoring 85%. Calculate the new percentage for the whole class. And remember, right in the beginning of the lesson, we painted the scenario where a group of 20 people write the test. The teacher says, you know what, guys, the mean average for this class is 64%. Well done, guys. A new girl comes into the class, says, I would like to write the test, please. Okay? She writes the test, gets 85%. What is the new mean average? Okay, I'm going to do this two ways. I'm going to do it a wrong way, and I'm going to do it a right way. The wrong way, unfortunately, was done by a huge percentage of matrics last year. Let's look at it. What a lot said was this. Well, the mean, what we do is we got a figure of 64 and a figure of 85. And we know how to calculate the mean. So we got two figures, 64% plus 85%. And there are two of them, so we're just going to divide it by 2. Okay? So they take out their calculators and they say 64 plus 85 equals, divide that by 2, voila, and they say, you know what? The new average is 74.5%. And so they now, with much confidence, write 74.5% is the average. So with much gusto, much confidence, 74.5%, and they smile. Okay? The markers come along in December, and they, with much gusto, with much confidence, mark it wrong, and they don't smile. Okay? You can't do that. Why not? Well, this 64% is not for one person, but it's for 20 people. The 85% is only for one person. So let's look how we should have done it. What we should have done was said this. Our mean is, we've got, on average, 20 people got 64%. So we've got 64 plus 64 plus 64 plus 64 plus 64. And we could take an ad break while I do this because we're going to do it 20 times. Or we're going to say I've got 20 of them. So 64 times 20. Okay? So I got a 64, 64. That's the average mark for every kid. Right? And average for the class means they got 64. So, for example, if someone got 63, then there was another person who got 65, because the average was 64. So 63 plus 65 is what, 128. If I gave everyone the average, the answer is also 128. Can you see how that average works? So if I'm saying the average for the class, it's like saying, you know what, everyone in the class got that mark. We know they didn't all get that mark, but if you add the highest and the lowest and this mark and that mark and that mark and that mark, on average, everyone got 64. Do you understand what I'm saying? I know that's a difficult concept to understand. Okay? Like I said, someone could have got 63, someone could have got 65, but on average, 64. And it's like saying, well, let's give everyone 64 in the class, and we still get the same totals. All right. So I've got 64 times 20. That's what the class got on average. Then one little girl comes along and says, hey, I got 85%. Okay? Now we're going to divide. How many students are there now in the class? There were 20. And now there's an extra 1. So there's 21 in the class. So we're going to take our calculator and we're going to say, all right, so I've got 64% average times 20 people. That gives me 1,280. Okay? So 1,280 plus 85%. So in other words, if I took those 20 boys, and I'll just say they're boys, they could be girls, they could be anything, but if I took those 20 students and I added up all their marks individually, so I added the 10% that little Jordan got, okay, and I added the 40% and the 80% and the 90% and the 10% and the this percent, in total they would have got 1,280 marks between all 120 of them. We're going to add up the 85% that the other girl got and then divide it by 21. So we got 1,280. Adding 85% gives me a total of 1,365. Let's find a pen. Here we go. 1,365. Divide that now by the 21 students. So again, our calculator. Divided by 21 students, let me ask you, give me some answers that our students are giving us.
I know a majority of people got 65 exactly.
Okay.
And some people got 64.76.
Okay.
And someone got 74.5, but they know their mistake.
Okay. So if they answered already and said, ignore my answer.
Ignore my answer.
I know I've messed up. Okay, cool. All right, so 135 divided by 21 equals, and guys, there's the answer, 65%. Okay, 65% is the average. Now, I know that doesn't seem right, because 64 and then a whacking 85. But remember, that 85 is only 1 out of 21 students. Okay?
Yeah.
Happy? So most of them got it right, which is absolutely wonderful. And you know, folk, that's all it is from me. I'm going to say cheerio, and I'm going to hand over to Kat.
Guys, well done on your great answers. I know you guys were focused on the ball. I know matrics love maths literacy. So remember to tune in next week for so much more exciting stuff from me and Peter. Goodbye. See you next week.